New Year's resolutions are where good intentions become our latest disappointment. All it takes is a single slip up, which usually happens by January 23rd, to end the resolution. New Year's goals are an improvement, but they both still rely on blue sky thinking. An aspiration is great, but it needs a reality check in order to become a plan. Before we plan for the new year, I talk to my clients about their past year, what's worked, what hasn't, and what needs to happen next. I start with an assessment. About 2 years ago, I worked with this client on building their management process. And since then, we meet quarterly to review their performance. Now, they had a pretty good year in 2020, but of course, as it did for a lot of people, it included last minute changes and a lot of adapting. When we had our quarterly review towards the end of last year, they knew that they wanted to be able to plan better in 2021, be less reactive and more in control. How do we do that? They asked me. Well, the problem is that be in control is a goal that isn't anchored in anything. There isn't some magic formula to be in control. On the other hand, a lot of people want to feel more in control after the year that we've just had, and they want to be looking ahead to better things. To do this effectively, rather than start with the goal, I work on what is it that needs to improve. We started with an assessment. An assessment allows the business to start where they are now. What is the current situation? What worked in the last year? What didn't work in the last year? What were the surprises, both good and bad? And what are the resources available? A very important question that is too often neglected. In particular, I want to highlight the second table where we look at what is going to make the biggest difference to this company. This uses both a quantitative and qualitative rating, which balances accountability. How does it do that? The quantitative rating looks at the future. How big of an impact will this have on the business? So we're looking at the results. The qualitative question is pros, and it's saying, how is it going to improve the business? To describe change, we have to start from where we are now and describe where we're going. So it does bring us back to the present. This particular business relied heavily on conferences and trade shows to grow their business and to maintain their reputation and visibility. So finding new and frankly more resilient ways to maintain those conversations, that's a clear priority. We see that in the first two rows that we've got here, increasing repeat business and finding new customers. But the other big thing that came up is delegation. It turns out that the head of operations is frankly also the head of marketing, human resources, general decision-making, office management, way too many things. We need to give her less to do so that she can do those things better, but still make sure that all these things are getting done. How did we turn this into a 2021 consulting plan? The client chose quarterly training as an approach. What's the difference between training and consulting? I offer both and I talk about both. Well, the difference is primarily in form rather than substance. With consulting, we meet monthly or quarterly, we address the hot issues at hand, and then we move forward. With training, we choose the subject beforehand and we set a training program. This client likes this because it's so well defined. They can plan out their subjects for the year. They can bring in different people for different topics. This is one way that they feel more in control. It's by using my services in this specific way. This quarter, we're going to work on the value proposition that they have, specifically how they make their clients more profitable. And they want this as the basis of the value that they offer so that it can work with any promotional tactic, whether it is trade shows, digital, video. So if they have to adapt throughout the year, they're still giving a consistent message. We are also going to obviously work on systems for delegation. They will be hiring throughout the year, so it's important that we get those in place. And one thing we want to work on in either Q3 or 4 is probably objections to sales. This business has a lot of people out in the field who are technical people and not salespeople, and they do want to equip them with some basic business development skills for those conversations. They like this training option because it is so planned and subject specific, and they do feel in control. How does it work? Every quarter, each training session will have 3 parts. And the first one is the presentation. This is the explanation of the material, effectively the training itself. Next, we work on activities. The client does this work in order to apply the material to their business needs. And I'm there to guide that discussion and facilitate their brainstorming. And the third step is bringing together the activities and all the notes to build their implementation plan for this particular subject matter. At the end of each quarter, they will have training material that is specific to their business, and they can use it over and over again with new hires and new projects. It's bespoke and it's theirs. People are starting to be a little bit over and ambivalent about this new normal, whether it's the way we work or it's that small town in Illinois. But when you're having that conversation with somebody, or when you're considering that situation for yourself, think about starting with a business assessment. You can find one on my website. It's a good place to start and focus your thoughts. And then we can talk about consulting or training to make sure that this can be your most productive year yet.